Good morning. Good morning, GM, everyone. Welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Tuesday, February 18th, 2025. It is freezing cold in Chicago today, folks. -5 degrees, feels like -13. About as bad as it gets. It is cold. Solana feels cold, ice cold, as sellers are racing to the exits this morning as the fallout of this Libra and broader meme coin scandal seemingly gets worse. The question is it over? Is it overblown? We're going to break that all down on today's show. Farouk is still out. He is out all week in Asia at some events. Mando will be joining us later on here in a minute. We do have Logan on here this morning. Logan, GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, Tyler. I'm doing well. Freezing cold here in central Pennsylvania as well. Not quite as cold as those temps you're enduring, but I'm trying to stave it off as well. And maybe the market will heat up at some point, warm us up a bit.
It was a long holiday weekend. Were you able to unplug a bit, or were you still somewhat connected?
Yeah, I mean, still somewhat connected. It's impossible to get all the way away, but I like to stay medium board. So, try to keep my finger on the pulse to a certain degree. And of course, this weekend, for anybody who tuned in yesterday, and I'm sure for whatever we talk about today, lots of things happening. So it was almost impossible to completely remove yourself, although it may have been a good time to do so.
This might be a medium board market. Time for you to dig out the old guide there and get it back out in front of folks. So what are we talking about on today's show, folks? We'll do a market report, talk soul bleeding, talk this contagion from Libra and the scandal getting worse. Then we'll flip gears. A lot of news broke this morning. So we've got the Hyper EVM launch. We've got Jupiter pushing its buybacks. An abstract exploit. We'll talk about what it is, how contained it is. We're going to talk about Google integrating Bitcoin into Web 2, OpenSea changing their farming program, Devin responding to early feedback and making a quick pivot. We've got news details on the same Sprat Masquerade, Monad testnet, and more. Folks, we've also got rollbit spins, double rollbit spins. We are back today, so make sure you stay tuned to the end of the show for that. Before we get into it, shout out to our partners, starting with Galaxis. Galaxis is a Web3 platform empowering creators and brands to build unstoppable communities with full ownership and independence, trusted by icons like Donald Trump, Steve Aoki, Mike Tyson, and the NBA, shaping together the future of engagement. And every day we see people's wallets get drained. Fairside is about to launch the fair alternative to insurance for crypto scams. Check out at Fairside Network on X. If you get drained, you won't be wrecked. Even more applicable today, sadly. But shout out to Fairside. We love our partners. All right, well, let's get right into our market report. I won't go deep just in case Mando does stop by here in a minute, but I'll go across. Here's some of the majors. Get the screen share up and running for those in the stream. So, folks, majors are red this morning. Bitcoin down 1%. 95,650. Ethereum down 5%, 2690. Let's see, XRP down about the same. BNB down 4%. And then Solana is the big story, I think, here. Solana down 9%. It's now sub 167. And if we zoom out here, so it was touch over 200 on Valentine's Day. So that's when we were getting all bulled up Friday afternoon. Hours before the Libra situation played out.
It was almost 300 on basically a month ago today, right? That would have been Trump launch or like close to that.
Yeah, we're coming up. So a month ago, it was over 270. So it's lost $100.
That's a lot.
So in market cap terms, I pulled that out for the newsletter this morning. It's down 50 billion in market cap in the past month. So the market cap for Solana right now is 81 billion. The FTV is right at 100, down from 130. So a full 40%, basically a 40% reduction in market cap, and it's hitting across the ecosystem, right? So we've talked about JLP on this show. quite a bit. I think JLP is holding up stronger, certainly, than Sol.
That's because of the Bitcoin component, right?
The stables are 33%. Bitcoin's a huge chunk of it. So JLP is only down 15%. Well, Solana is down quite a bit more. So you do, it is behaving like somewhat of a safe haven there for those who still want to have some exposure to Sol. It looks like we've got Mando on with us. Mando.
Hey guys.
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys doing?
It felt like it was Black Tuesday when I woke up this morning. It feels like maybe a little less dark as the day is going on.
Market just feels terrible, man. Even hype, right?
Hype was actually what really set me off this morning. It's like, oh, this is going to be a bad day. When Hype launched its EVM, it briefly wicks to 28 and then instantly sells off. Like, oh god. That's
yeah, dude, I've been looking at stablecoin strategies a little bit today. That's how damn bad we are.
Oh no, but
that's interesting stuff if we want to share it.
Yeah, let's get right into
some crazy stablecoin stuff. All right, let me. If you guys are just like, you know what, I've had an absolute enough, and you still want to have some degen stuff. So Drift, you know Drift on Solana.
Yes.
So they have introduced something called Vault recently, which basically allows you to invest in different strategies run by like hedge funds or run by different protocols in the space. Maybe I'll launch app. And this is if you want to stay on Solana. Present. Let me share my screen on Drift. Okay. And if you go to their where is it? Or maybe it's Vaults. This is Drift, right? Yeah, Earn. Earn Vaults. Here we go. So what I've actually been looking at, I love the JLP. There are people that are doing JLP delta neutral strategies on here. So basically, how JLP is 60% or 65% risky stuff. They'll own JLP, they'll put it on Drift, and they'll use it as collateral, and they'll short Solana, ETH, and Bitcoin against it. So you have all these if you go to, let's say, USDC, and let's just look at that. They've got all these different firms that do basically hedge JLP strategies.
And the idea is that you just
same as Athena. You know how Athena works, where you own the ETH, but you short the ETH on futures, and you take the yield. This is like owning JLP, but shorting just the risky exposure of it. So you basically short the 60% bucket, which is quite easy to do because it's just sold Bitcoin and ETH. And
then you earn the fees.
So you basically just earn the fees. No risk. No. Well, obviously there's some risk of all of this stuff, but there's no delta. There's no principal risk essentially, or there's not meant to be. Some of the APYs in this stuff is wild. Can
you read them off? It's a little small.
Oh, sorry. Maybe I'll zoom in. View, zoom in. How do I zoom in multiple times? Can you guys see these now? Or no?
A little better. My eyes are a little.
So it's 60%. 60% for some of these.
Pretty good.
Yeah, as a stable coin yield, maybe look at some of the bigger ones. So this one's 26 million TVL, does 50% APY over the last 90 days. Because maybe the bigger ones are the best ones to look at. Similarly, this one's Insure and Hedge JLP, 55%, 7 million TVL. There's a bunch of different firms doing it basically. So you can pick your firm. Servers like Night Trade is maybe one of the bigger ones. And I think you can.
Then as a user, you just deposit USDC into the vault.
You just deposit USDC. Now, there's obviously some risk to this stuff, but if you go onto share this tab instead, this is one of the bigger firms doing it, and you can actually just invest from their front end. It looks like, but Yeah, so like these are they've got a bunch of JLP delta neutral trades. You can do an Arbitrum, Sol, 72% APR. Like you understand how it works, right? Like it's exactly the same as Athena works. Now, obviously, there's some risk to all of this sort of stuff. The main risk is that like if you have negative funding, which weirdly you do have right now, these things would probably lose money if you get if JLP, because it can trade at a discount or a premium to the NAV. But yeah, looking at some more degen stuff around that, because I'm just like, I don't know, like the market feels a little bit cooked. I always have some money in stables. I thought I might as well do some more degen stuff in that. So yeah, look at this.
And clearly people are stabled up. So like you're saying the market is cooked. I want to get into that a little bit. One thing, maybe I'm just like naively got the hopium this morning. Like stable coins are still going up and to the right. So people aren't exiting ecosystems.
No. I mean, I put a tweet out today. The crypto market cap's only down 15%, right? From its peak. So it's not, and stablecoins are up and to the right as part of that as well. So it doesn't feel like people are leaving. It's just been a destruction of the soul and just general casino. I feel like people are just like tired a little bit and want to just like they're done with losing money for a little bit and want to look at other things. I mean, that's the general sentiment that I see on my timeline. And I think all this stuff that's coming out about Jupiter and Meteora and all that stuff, people just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths around these things. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how long that like bad sentiment continues. But in general, like Bitcoin's still at 95K, right? Like it's not so bad.
That's the worst part of all of this, right? Is that like, this has all happened with Bitcoin in the range. It's at the bottom of the range effectively. It's fairly stable. I mean, it's turning down. And what happens like if Bitcoin were to go to 88 or 85? It feels like Sol goes straight to 120.
Yeah, look, I don't think Bitcoin's going to 88. That's my general sense. I think people are exiting to Bitcoin. They were exiting to majors, and now they've a lot of people have thrown in the towel on Solana after this. Like it broke support, and people just pissed off about what's been going on. So I think it is largely because like we are often benchmarked to Sol basically in this space, but I also think that the funds are flowing into ETH and Bitcoin here. So I don't think the crypto market cap is going to be that affected by this, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I think we're actually even already seeing that in the last day. Hype actually catching a decent amount of inflows. There's definitely capital leaving Sol. What I'm trying to wrap my head around is like a disconnect between CT opinion on Solana versus broader retail opinion on Solana, and what has like fundamentally changed in the past couple weeks. And I can paint the bull case. I think the bull case to me is that the contagion from the meme coin scandal isn't that big. It's somewhat localized. And after a cool down period, the degens come back to the casino. I think that's the bull case. I think the bear case is the casino is closed for the foreseeable future. And Sol is, continues to grind down because revenue on the chain's going down and the fundamentals look less strong.
So can I flip that a little bit on its head and be like, why, if the casino is closed, is that necessarily like that bad? Because I think a lot of people have associated with Solana with that sort of stuff when it doesn't necessarily need to be, right? Solana's just a cheap, fast blockchain. It can be involved in tons of different things. Like it's good for DePIN, it's good for DeFi, it's good for memes, but it can be good for anything, right? And I think part of this can just be a reset of the culture. There's plenty of chains, like XRP being a prime example, right, that haven't needed a casino to be worth 2x Sol. Bitcoin's just needed an ETF, right? Like obviously digital gold and all that sort of stuff. But like
Mhm.
what I'm trying to say is that like I don't necessarily think that Solana just has value because that's where people have been doing the casino. And I think in some ways people might look at it as being like a reset of the culture of the chain, and maybe we go and do different things. So like I'm not that bearish on Solana in general. And I think it can easily recover from this. Like there's obviously some broader FUD. Like I obviously do podcasts with people from who don't really play in meme coins and stuff, and they hadn't really heard about what was going on in the Argentina coin. Like genuinely, like their main worry was the unlocks, the Solana unlocks, and that was part against the FTX repayments. So like they think the sell-off is more to do with the unlocks, right? Like some people were like, no, this is an unlock sell-off. I think because we are part of this like hyper gambling bit of the market, but a lot of the rest of the market despises that. So like, I don't necessarily think what you're saying is the death of Solana.
Well, it's good. I mean, that's the hopium case. I do feel like there is a very real disconnect between the panic on CT and anyone who's removed. Like my wife, for example, she casually follows crypto. She knows like I'm employed here. She has no idea what the Libra scandal is. And I don't think people are widely aware of it or really thinking that through potential network or second order or third order effects of it. So I tend to agree that it may be overblown. I guess where I was going, with it felt like Solana DEX volume, Solana trading products, and their revenue was being touted as a big reason for Solana's growth, and that the chain was producing all this revenue. And now that revenue.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. But Solana's still doing more volume than all the other chains, right? It's been so far ahead. Like it's been It's been more than every other chain, often more than multiple chains combined, and it's still not like the price performance over the last, like it's kind of flat, right? So what it tells you is like, has that been that useful for Solana? Like Hyperliquid just has a profitable perp DEX, and it's trading at $25 billion FDV. Why can't Solana just be a perp? Like, why can't we just trade perps on Solana? It's super cheap. Everyone can trade them just as well as you can trade in Hyperliquid. I think the elements that we think are really valuable to a blockchain are actually fundamentally different to what other people think are valuable for a blockchain, basically. And yeah, I think having a fast, cheap blockchain allows you to do tons of different things. That's why I don't think it's the end of Solana. I just think maybe people have just had enough of the casino for a little bit, or like this part of the casino.
So do you have thoughts on where's the bottom? Like it seemed like yesterday that maybe it was going to hold like the 175, 178 range. It lost that and then it's quickly plummeted through. Like, is there a number where you would start to bid, or are you just going to let this play out?
I think it's really cheap if it starts going below 150. That's my opinion. Just because like a lot of those metrics are still there, of it being dominating so much of what's going on in crypto. So I would still say it's I would say if it goes below that level, I'd definitely start looking at it. 120, 100, right? That would be, for me, that would be really, really low. Like that would be crazy. Compared to this stuff going on there right now, like we would have to see just a complete reversal in people using it, not just for trading, but just like using Solana as a chain. And I think I'm not at that level yet. Like I'm not throwing it. Like, what are you going to go use? Like, what are you going to go use? I guess Bitcoin. Like people like Bitcoin, but I don't think people are just suddenly going to turn back and be like, we need to go. The ETH UX is not great. People don't love L2s. BNB, maybe it feels like there's been a bit of a renaissance there. Maybe base, but like it doesn't. I still think I wouldn't get so bearish on Solana. You can get very bearish on a lot of the stuff on Solana still, and we've already seen that. But I don't think I can't really feel like that's going to be the end of Solana suddenly.
I'm pretty surprised that the Solana Foundation which has done a fantastic job of highlighting the projects and protocols on Solana, the whole powered by Solana thing. There's a pretty clear opportunity here in the last few days to be really loud about some of those other things that are happening on the chain, which, Mando pointed out, DePIN, there's lots of things that Helium, HiveMapper, all those DePIN projects that have millions of users and real world use cases that I think people find exciting. Maybe that's not the right word, but like there is other stuff happening here. It's dominated, of course, in our circle by the meme coin stuff. That contagion is going to go on for, I think, a bit more time as more information comes out. And of course, it's damning, but to think of this as the end of the chain, near-term price action aside, like seems pretty silly in my opinion as well. It is still the easy, like if you were going to get somebody on the street to spin up and participate in Web3 crypto, like outside of buying Bitcoin, what are you going to have them do? Like you're going to have them participate on Solana, aren't you? It's still the easiest way to do stuff.
I tend to agree. I feel like there's probably some more near-term pain. I don't think.
Oh yeah, I would agree with that too.
And part of the reason is, like, let's talk a little bit about what happened yesterday. So, I mean, a full day of news tied to the Libra scandal. So, President Millet officially charged by a group of lawyers for fraud. He came out and said, "I didn't promote it. I was only spreading it." And then he actually gave deeper comments and saying that, "Hey, listen, no one in Argentina was impacted by this. It's really just the degen crypto traders, the high volatility traders who were impacted," which is probably a pretty fair assessment of the reality of this. It's just that we share a social layer with those folks, which is why we see it a little bit louder. Hayden continues to speak up. He was on with Portnoy. They were going on actually against FOMO Hour yesterday. He was talking about, I think Dave asked him, whose money is it, the 100 million that you have? And he couldn't really answer the question. And then we got more news. Solana Floor shared some allegations. These are allegations. These are not all totally confirmed. Just a broader picture of perhaps what was happening here. Kelsey's team involvement in several tokens, including Libra, Melania, on the Meteora launch pad. And how Meteora leadership, including Ben, were involved in this. And I think it's still a little unclear exactly what Ben's role was in all this. So I want to be very careful about that. It's clear that this Kelsey group was effectively rigging these launches and mass extracting. There's messages in their chats. I think the most damning, I'll try to find it.
The max extraction.
It was up a little bit, Tyler. The middle one right there, right in here. It's that middle message I think you're looking for. To be honest, we're trying to max extract on this one.
Did I miss it, Logan?
Yeah, scroll down just a little bit. It's in right there. It's in that block. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, fellas, TBH, we are trying to max extract.
Do you know what's really, really funny about that? Mm-hmm. Is that's Mates. Do you remember that token? That's the token from the Webiverse team that rugged everyone for millions. So what he's actually saying is kind of true in that he doesn't trust the team because they were the team behind Webiverse, right? Remember we said that Shaw had worked there?
Yeah.
Remember? And then they did rechanged their account from Webiverse to Mates, and then they just released a new token. So these are double ruggers themselves, essentially getting rugged by this team. I mean, I don't know if many people put two and two together, but I did.
Agents.
This is this was a rugging team being rugged.
Oh man, I did not put that together. So yeah.
Robin Hood.
Yes. So it seems like it goes deep. It seems like there were several tokens tied in. We still don't really know the extent of it. Meow, Jupiter founder, came out and said that they don't believe that anyone on the team did anything wrong, but acknowledges that Ben needed to resign effectively just because of his involvement in running Meteora. And this basically took place on Meteora.
Did you know that Meow owned Meteora or was a founder of Meteora? I did not.
No, I didn't until yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't know that Meow was tied in. I think I'd heard rumblings that Meteora was tied to. So Jupiter owns Moonshot and Meteora then. So
yeah, so they obviously teamed together to do the Trump launch, right? But I didn't know that they own them both now, essentially. But maybe I'm in the minority that I didn't know he owned Meteora. But I think this is dodgy, right? Very, very clearly, very dodgy stuff going on, in my opinion. And I think it's clear that people were tipped off, and these guys were sniping launches, and a lot of money was made. Don't know. Kind of is what it is at the same time, but
that seems to be some of the worst part is that. And what people are most upset about is it seems like, yes, they had info on this. They were sharing it with a select group of people who were sniping and effectively just dumping on the launch. And as I understand how Meteora token launches are different compared to Pump Fund is this team would effectively inject capital sniping the launches to get them up to a market cap, a starting point. So instead of starting at 100,000 market cap or 500K, they just open it basically and it candles right up to 500 million or a billion, like it did effectively for the Libra launch. And that's controlled. And then they can kind of handle the market making from there. But it puts more the people, a retail investor who buys after the launch is at a disadvantage effectively, which is, it's a less fair style of launch than Pump Fund. That's how I understand it. But Logan, jump in.
I was just gonna share. I'm not sure if you watched the video from Choose Rich Nick that came out probably late last night regarding. He showed sort of, and I believe this is all alleged. I don't think anything is confirmed at this point. So go watch it and draw your own conclusions and such. But it shared a little bit of the pitch deck for Kelsier's token launch services, more or less. And I believe what's alleged based on one of the tables within is very much what you're just describing. Hey, we're going to launch it at XYZ market cap. Here's how much it costs to launch it at that. Oh, and you also have your choice of how much of that supply you'd like sniped, more or less, if I interpreted it correctly. Again, all these things alleged, not confirmed in any way. So, but that's just seeing that and seeing even option on the table to have 90% of the supply sniped. I don't know. It feels real bad. Obviously a lot of this is real bad, but seeing that, just further proof for me, pulling some stuff back and opening up my eyes a little bit more as to just how rigged the game really is, particularly for the big launches, the ones that you want to be excited about. Everybody wants to be excited about these big tokens because they they are potential onboarding events and they are all those things, but they're also the worst possible tokens, more or less.
Yeah, I think it's just paints a picture of institutionalized rugging. Do you know what I mean? It was just this was accepted that you could sell a product, which was, and we've seen this kind of dog with tools. There were those sort of things on the Solana blockchain where it was just so accepted that people were doing this at the same time, but you wouldn't have expected it from and being endorsed by the biggest protocols in the space, right? And then being part of it, it seems not. They perhaps were involved in that too. So it's bad. I don't think it's the end of Solana. Like I said before, I would be very unsurprised if it underperforms for a little bit here. I don't know. Whenever ETH rallies, the whole market just completely dumps. It keeps on doing that. Whenever ETH puts in a green candle versus other majors, it's just people have been talking about going to ETH, Bitcoin, BNB, XRP. I don't know where people are going to put their money. I looked at Artemis today, and it doesn't feel like money's necessarily huge amounts of money is leaving Solana. No. You guys have looked at that. Let me just share because I think it may be useful.
I'm seeing 2.5 million in outflows from Solana, but that's in the last day, and it's still green on the week.
Jesus, what's going on at Optimism?
Yeah, optimism's getting decimated. I don't know what's going on there. But in the last week, Solana's still had inflows. Net inflow of 30 million. Ethereum's having good inflows, having had a very bad period for the last year. So maybe ETH is the play, but yeah, it doesn't feel like the wheels are coming off here, basically.
As far as the casino goes, right, which is a core component of a lot of our activity on the chain, what we talk about, it feels like if not now, when for ETH? If not now, maybe never. This is a pretty pivotal time that it could capitalize on, innovative launches with regards to tokens. I don't know if you saw the comment from Hayden Adams, sorry, am I mixing up names? Hayden Adams, right? Okay, Uniswap founder, not to be confused with Hayden from Kelsey here, who basically said yesterday, it's really not that hard to launch a token fairly, or whatever. And if it isn't fair, it probably wasn't fair on purpose. There's a tweet about that. I'm mixing up the words potentially, but it's just a nice little thing to hear, I guess, if you're launching a token on ETH, maybe, but not so nice if you've been participating on Solana, where it feels like every token was unfair for the last, however many months. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it seems like Unichain has Unichain, this is a great setup for Unichain and Uniswap V4. These new features can help avoid some of this, but it just seems like the reality is no one's using them yet.
No one's, but that might be a great time. I mean, it might be a great time for us to be paying attention there, right?
Real quick, code word for today, folks, for the Robot Spends is casino. Casino is the code word. We'll stick around another 20 minutes or so.
You would be, I mean, like I said, I spent the last 24 hours kind of looking at some of these stablecoin strategies across different chains. You'd be really surprised at how much of ETH is to stablecoin strategies. Stablecoin or maybe just ETH strategies, of different lending, points programs. There's just so much DeFi, boring. There's some degen stuff, but it's generally just where can I put 500 million of stables on ETH? It's it's that sort of stuff going on. So this is what I kind of going back to. It's just weird that ETH has that. It does have this very strong DeFi community, and whenever you speak to them about Solana, a lot of them are kind of unsure. It hasn't been built out maybe to the same extent that it has on ETH. It has been built out for trading meme coins, but maybe we'll see the protocol will evolve into doing other stuff. I spent a little bit of time looking at Solana DeFi, I just showed you, and there's some interesting stuff going on. You can do levered yield strategies. You can do. They have a version of. What's the name of that? God, I've forgotten it. But they have a version of points program style borrowing and lending. Pendle. They have a version of Pendle. I forget what it's called. But they they have stuff built out, but it's just not to the same extent. And maybe for the next month or two, people will just start doing a bit more other stuff on Solana, which maybe isn't a bad thing. Genuinely, maybe isn't a bad thing.
Everyone needs a break from the trenches and flipping the phrase coin or the internet capital markets coin of the day.
Jesus.
So let's go do something more valuable with our time for a little while.
I don't think it's done though, right? I think this story is actually going to keep breaking. That's my guess. Yeah.
I don't think the story's done. Everyone's very hungry for this KOL list. That's a part of it. I think the real thing is okay, how complicit were all the protocols? Is there more protocol involvement than we know about? That's where it gets bad. I think that's the worst aspect of all this, because I think people generally feel like KOLs, a lot of KOLs are shady, perhaps doing this, but you don't really expect that the protocols to be rigging the game.
I had a pretty large short on Jupiter. So actually Jupiter, the coin, since last night, because I was this thing's getting really bad. But funding has now gone absolutely insane on it. As in negative funding. Everyone's piled into that short. It does feel as though
there's some crowded shorts out there.
People are I'm thinking about taking it off, because I'm just this thing feels quite squeezy.
Crowded trade. Everyone's talking about shorting Sol and some of these.
Right, exactly.
Bad timing on the pushing back with the buybacks though. So like no one forced. So basically what happened, it came out yesterday. Last week, Meow announced that Jupiter buybacks were going to start on Monday, February 17th. So yesterday.
Right.
They announced that, hey, no, we're accumulating USDC for the buybacks. That started. Actual buybacks are going to happen later. Like no one forced me out to come out and say last week and give a date. Like I think people in general were just happy enough with the news that it was going to happen. Then he goes forward and sets a date and then doesn't meet the date like that. Along with everything else that's happening, it was bad timing. Let's just put it that way.
Bad time to say the least. I think that it was really just like suddenly it felt like these guys are going to be complicit, and people are going to be annoyed.
So I mean, so Jupiter, I think it was at 71 cents when I looked this morning, so it's at 70. Oh, gee, goodness, down 15% on the day.
Yeah,
30% since Friday. Yeah. So that's a big drop off. But all right, well, I think we've gone around the horn on Solana majors and the Libra scandal. Let's perhaps pivot into a few other stories from the day. So Hype stealth launched their EVM overnight or early this morning, depending where you're at. So three big parts of it. Hyper EVM, it functions as an L1. It uses Hyper BFT consensus. Spot transfers are now enabled between Spot Hype and then the Hyper EVM Hype. Hype will be the gas token of the EVM, and then they are, I think they're introducing this, or I haven't seen it before, Wrapped Hype, W Hype, which will be useful for Hyper DeFi applications. So this was a big one. I don't think we knew it was coming arguably soon. I don't think we knew it was going to happen necessarily this fast. And the team keeps shipping. So last week they introduced Spot Bitcoin. This week they launched their EVM. Market loved it briefly. Token shot to 28 and then immediately sold off, holding it at 23.75. Mando, curious for your thoughts here on Hype. Was this sell the news? Should people get bulled up on the EVM? I'm struggling a little bit still to see kind of. I haven't dug in. It's like, what is the EVM on Hype?
Well, the EVM would now be like they may be, if you hold Hype, you'll get involved in a bunch of things that are going to get built on there. There's a hope that it turns into a bit more of a DeFi chain. I don't know if that's going to happen, but like maybe it does. I would say that I personally continue to think that Hype looks slightly overvalued. Like at this, like it really does have to show itself as a chain here. There's a lot of talk about like the unlocks don't matter, but the unlocks start in September, and they're not small. So 23 billion FTV for a perp dex, that's very, very high. So, but if everyone says it's a chain, but then it has to be a chain, and we have to see what it's going to do. Right. So, because in terms of its buyback, like it's not that dissimilar to Radium. It's not, and Radium trades at 4 billion FTV. So, if you're going to say, "Hey, to me, it's a buyback coin," then it looks overvalued. If it's chain, then we get to see what it builds out, and maybe it does become like an airdrop coin, like with these things being built. I don't know about that bit yet, but let's see.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it because it's stable and it does well on days where everyone's getting wrecked. It always does really well on days like, it was like, oh my god, I wish I had Hyperliquid on the day that everything else is down like 30%. But now the EM's out, like it does become a bit more of a right, like they've actually shipped. It's like an abstract moment, they've shipped it now. So
now we'll see what apps. There has to be good apps for people to use, so it gets evaluated differently. My read on Hype, without being deep in it, is like in a bull market, like if Bitcoin's pumping, I feel like Hype's going to be one of the bigger movers. But in a chop zone, slight bearish trends where everyone's trying to evaluate real value, it's going to be tougher, and it's been outperforming everything. over the last weeks, and it's been grinding up, but it does feel like it's facing maybe a little bit more scrutiny right now, and just like the blind optimism that it had is starting to maybe go away a little bit.
Well, I think the thing is, you have to appreciate that this has been a great trade.
Yes.
Like I said this, Farouk asked me about JLP the other day, because he bought it at like 4.7. He's like, oh, JLP's been down only since I bought it. I was like, brother, what else would you have bought? Like JLP is now at 4.2 from 4.7, so it's down 15%. Bitcoin's down 15%. ETH is down way more than that. Solana's down way more than that. Trump, Fartcoin, any other meme you could have bought is down more than that. The good thing about hype is that like even now it's kind of unchanged-ish. Like it's maybe down a little bit from like that peak where everyone was buying stuff in like in January. I think it was trading more like 28, and now it's at 23. So down, maybe it's down like 20% or 15%, but like it's quite volatile. I'm not saying the hype trade's over, but like I also wouldn't feel regrets that like you didn't sell the top on hype, like, or like you didn't get like, people have been destroyed and everything else.
Yeah, relatively, it's still the strongest. Even if like, no one really bought too much above 30. I did. I had to buy at 33, but luckily my average is still far below that. It's holding up very well. So we'll see what the EVM has to offer. What else? So we got to briefly talk about Abstract. So there was an exploit on Abstract earlier this morning. It looks like the issue was solely tied to this Cardex app. I think it's a game. If anyone had interacted with that app, it looks like they had given some permissions to this team, which is proven to be malicious, and they started draining wallets. I think I saw a total that was like 500,000 drained as of before the show. So fairly large, not great. Saigar has come out and said this is not a broader issue with their contracts for the Abstract Global Wallet. It is siloed to those who have interacted with this app. And he's got a full report coming later. So that happened. If you interacted, please go through it and do your revoke. And we will see, what the team comes out with later on this one. I don't know that there's really a whole lot else to say here. Let's wait for the dust to settle. Perhaps bigger news was out of Devin Finzer and OpenSea, and they've changed their farming program. Logan, not sure if you were close to this one. It looks like they're taking the community feedback. So what's the change here?
Yeah.
Give a view.
So of course, much like we saw with like Blur, right, for providing points. I think they were called points as well with Blur, right? For listing, bidding, those types of things that lots of people surmise, drags down NFT prices. That's what OpenSea was doing, and based on tons and tons of criticism and feedback on the timeline, they went ahead and they paused that for this point in time, and going to continue to give XP via these like little shipment things, which I believe have started to go out for select actions if you provided feedback, things like that via the Discord, and then also too going to provide that XP for those buying and holding, as you see you've had highlighted on the screen here, Tyler. I don't know, what to say really too much. I understand both sides here, where people had a right to be upset that they saw Blur do this for how many years. They saw the negative feedback that Blur got for it. They saw, of course, and hopefully gathered plenty of data and information about what happened to the price of NFTs and the actions of farmers related to those NFTs whilst this was happening. Yet they still put it in place. But to their credit, more or less quickly changed course here, right? This just opened in public access on last Thursday, the 13th, when they announced that. So we haven't seen too many teams be willing to make snap changes like this. So I'm going to give them a little bit of credit there. But I do understand the criticisms, as this was a loud issue for a long time prior to OS2. So I think the community is totally in its right to be loud here. And I guess, just moving forward, like continue to be loud, but do so in a way that is, you highlighted the vitriol here, do so in a way that's helpful and beneficial for all parties involved. You don't, again, need to be, a hater just to hate. I think too often, I'm guilty of this as well, but like too often we're critical without providing any potential solutions in this space. It's a common thing that was happening here. We'll see what OpenSea does, but good to see them to make the change at the very least.
Damn, this market is getting smashed, boys.
Oh, is it? Oh no.
You looking at this?
What else is going on?
Just in general, like it's every time I look at it.
Yeah.
Filecoin's two handle.
Oh, yeah. I don't need to. I don't need to do that. That's not great. I want to round out the OpenSea combo real quick, and then perhaps go back to some of the prices. People are mad online. Like that much is very clear. And for whatever reason, everyone is just rooting for OpenSea to fail. And they just want to say they can get their airdrop and then sell it and move on with their lives. And that point of view doesn't really make sense. It's a very immature mindset. I think this was a good message from Finzer. I will say though, like you kind of hit it, Logan, that they had to know there was going to be pushback on a point system like this, and they still launched it anyway. And then they changed course in the first week. It's good to be flexible. It's good to listen to feedback, but they still launched it, right? So I think there is some responsibility for having done that. But I see his point too. I mean, he basically says like, "Hey guys, like we still have to have liquidity. Like we're trying to be the number one marketplace. So like we have to do something." So
and sorry, Tyler. I mean, Finzer mentioned, I believe, in the initial announcement, and there's a comment from the general manager of the OpenSea Foundation, right? That they want C to play some sort of role in the future. They want this to be a long-term thing. Like they got to figure out a way to get people to use it, to earn the token, to have the token make sense for the platform. Like it's not going to be perfect. They're going to mess probably lots more things up. It just isn't really helpful to anyone to just like, loudly complain in a way that's not beneficial and not providing any constructive feedback at all, which, again, is what's happening here.
People are just looking for people right now.
Yeah. Everybody needs a punching bag. That's for sure.
I think the reality
is being a meme account because I just feel like people want laughs, but it's tough. I think people are looking for boogeymen all over the place.
I think part of the problem is the NFTs are down, and people were just immediately blaming OpenSea for that. When the reality is, there's no buyers for these NFTs, like right now. Like that is the stone reality. You know what does have buyers? Bored Ape Yacht Club.
Yeah,
Bored
Ape
got
a token coming.
18.4. So folks are still buying those. So captains are up 19%. I didn't see that. So there is still some green on the board. Kaido down 60%. Not a huge surprise.
Where are Punks at? Punk's okay.
Punks are 35.5. They're basically trading even right there. We got some glimpse of perhaps what the airdrop will be worth for the Kaido NFTs. Those were trading around 11 yesterday. 7 ETH shaved. That's $17,000 to $20,000.
It's nice.
I mean, the thing is about the Kaido NFTs is there was a decent window to buy those sub 5 for like the first week or two. So anyone who was an early buyer is free rolling the airdrop. So they're still feeling pretty good about that. I was showing the AI market cap's down to 5.75 billion. It was 22 billion.
Wow.
It was 22 billion, I think, at peak, and that was around New Year's. So it's down
22 billion at New Year's.
It's all happened so fast.
Briefly wicked up to like 22 is the peak on this chart.
Wow.
And it's not like nothing in Solana is unscathed effectively. So let's take a look. Like Virtuals is down 10%, AI16Z is down 18%, and they just released their product roadmap over the weekend, which was largely overshadowed. Perhaps we'll get into that later this week. Filecoin's down 28%. It is just getting whacked. It had the biggest moves up, and it's having the biggest moves down.
Brother, MLG is the one. Epic might flip MLG here. I was trading at 240 million or whatever it was.
Oh no.
Gaming meme coins.
Gaming meme coins.
That's not great.
Don't disrespect the OG, my friend. No one thought
one-
Epic would flip MLG like this.
No. This is a wild one. Look at that chart. That's stairs down, but also elevator down type.
Yeah.
I mean, those are stairs.
The thing is, like, I feel like this is also the risk of like this one it went straight up from 5 million to 150 million in 4 days. So like you don't have any incremental buyers. Like no one bought this. Like in this one daily candle, it went from 30 million to 150.
Yeah. A lot of people lost money on this one. I lost money on this one. I bought it around whatever it was on one of those dips.
It had all the momentum. We were talking about on this show. Like it seemed like there was maybe perhaps like a MOG to MLG rotation and the gaming narrative. Aiden Ross starting to get behind it and still had a little bit more shine. I
mean, hopefully it comes back. I still like the narrative, but like that is it feels like it's more going to be something to bash that group with rather than, like it's tough now to separate it from that.
I think it can have another arc up. It just needs time to be kind of separated from the recent narrative. That's my view. So
but like the influencers are like Sol Jakey and the Vape Boys, but I don't know. Like it's weird. It feels as though it's mixed now. Like everyone was looking for people to attack. I saw the Red Guy's video the other day. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the Red Guy.
Same.
I think it is tough. I would say that like there was a notable change in that group's content from like we're going to interview founders to like we're just going to like stream trading meme coins, and I think that's been the main thing, and I think he admits that like that was like maybe an error because the show just went into being like which coin are we going to buy today, but it is clear that that people wanted that content too, right? Like people, it's very easy to blame influence in this scenario, and obviously there's layers of scam here and rigging of the game, which I think people will be very, very annoyed about, but like I think everyone also was here for the casino at the same time, right? Like we can't say that we weren't here for the casino. We can say that we didn't like the rigged games, but like it's very, very clear that like people did want that content. So like to find boogeymen from the people who are like maybe the most vocal players of the casino game, I don't know. Yeah,
I agree. It went too far. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I've talked quite a bit about meme coins over the last year. Like that's where the action was. It's where the hot ball of money was. Hopefully didn't over promote it. I think one of my gripes with the LA house was it felt like they were kind of the lead promoters of some of the tokens in like the internet capital markets, and
hyper rotation stuff I think is the thing that was painful.
But credit to Third Guy, he addressed it and said, hey, like I admit I did this. It was a mistake. I think he got caught up in it. He had genuine intentions. I think so. I think he'll be able to pull through it. We'll see. There's just a lot of anger out there. Logan, I feel like you were going to jump in.
Yeah, you guys said it. It tough time because it was the thing to report on. Yeah, I mean you had to in some way. So participating, puts you in that spotlight, particularly when you have that many eyeballs, as those folks do. So
these tokens were seeing $1 billion a day in volume. Like this was an insanely large market. It's just unfortunate. It was more rigged than perhaps we realized. Well, folks, the Rollbit code is casino. So I think we went around the horn. I think it's time to get into our Rollbit spins. If our listeners are ready, and if
is there a code as well? People keep on asking for a code.
Code is casino.
Oh, casino. Sorry. Yeah.
So go to rafflebot.xyz, sign in, and enter that code. The code is casino, and we will get up and running. All right, here we go. Seeing Rafflebot. Looks like maybe just signed out there. A little technical difficulties. Stay with us here while we get this up and running.
Give me 1 sec. It's just signed me out. I don't know why.
It's been a few days.
Maybe.
These Rollbit spins.
Tyler, one quick thing as we wait. You know what I noticed amid all this fear and stuff? That fear and greed index has been just cemented on 38 the last few days. I'm actually surprised it's held there because it feels much more fearful on my timeline.
It's like no one's fearful of Bitcoin. Like there's like a disconnect,
true.
right? It's
That's
like
true.
It's everyone's saying the same thing. It's just like it's so wild how different this cycle has been to other ones. There was an altcoin season for like a week, and it was not our bags. It was XRP, and then it was, I guess, AI was there for a period, but like it annoys me because I actually think AI is like easily got the best chance at having huge TAM, huge sector in crypto, those agents and all the stuff around them. Like I still think that like that 5 could easily go to 50 in the next year, easily. But so much of it is on Sol, and it just feels as though it's just getting it's going to get smashed with all this stuff as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, more near-term pain. But if I had to bet on one meta to come back first, it would be the AI.
Yeah. So OSF keeps texting me. He's like, we should be buying these AI coins. We should be buying these AI coins. And he keeps on averaging in lower and lower and lower each day. Like he was doing victory laps when ARK like doubled. It's now down to 160 again. It's how do you think the pain pre-sale's going to go?
They waited too long, man. They had a window.
Where's it trading on Gate?
Oh God, I haven't even looked at it. We'll I know we're over time. We'll have to try to pull that. We'll get into it tomorrow. I want to have a longer talk on the AI coins and we'll this brutal drawdown after.
Shishmando, let the man spin. Someone says. Sorry, guys. Bye.
Crypto beers. Hello. Come on up. Sims, are we doing another one or just one today?
We are. We've got 2. So one's Crypto Beers accepts or comes up on stage, and we can accept. We can get on with another one. I'll spin another one now. Just give him some time to get up on here.
Let's do it. All right. Oh wow!
You know this person?
What's going on? Man, long time. Looks like you just took a picture of Pro. That Pro comparison. It's all in the timeline. Ongo. What a day! One. He was one of the biggest issues of the Billion Cap group.
Okay, so we've got Crypto Beers 1 and BTC Bongo. You guys need to please request to speak so we can bring you up and you can claim your prize.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any requests.
Which is disappointing. Come on.
It's quite disappointing. I mean, I guess we got to put a timer on this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm also not seeing any requests at all. I'll go on a second phone just to make sure that note's coming through, because on the odd occasion, Twitter can be a piece of shit.
I'm not seeing these 2 requests.
Let me get in the space and have a look just to make sure. And if not, we might have to go for a respin.
Seeing random people request, but not the winners.
See, that's why I've come to double check on a different account, because I'm not seeing any requests on my side. All right, we're going to respin then, I think. Maybe. I think we've got it right.
The clock's ticking. I'm not seeing them.
Can you just accept my request on stage and I'll just so it just refreshes really quickly?
All right, Sims, you're up.
Yeah, there's definitely no. Oh, stop that. There's no request on that. Okay, I guess we got a respin. So we'll respin first. Crypto Beers loses the slot.
Layla SF. You all look like the winner.
Lilies.
He has requested. All right.
Okay, so we're knocking crypto beers out. We're also now going to respin because BTC Bongo's had long enough as well. We'll go again.
Eric Blair. That's very cool. Up on the board 8. What a reroll. Yes. What is
1 second, I request. Okay, so I can see Eric in the chat. He's going to request in the YouTube. We've got Eric. Eric will wait for you. I've already seen you. So Lilies, we're going to give you another couple of minutes. If not, we will respin.
She's in the spaces.
Definitely.
Yep. Lily.
Needed to request.
GM, come off mute. Say hi. You won. Lee, if you're with us, I see her up on stage, Sims.
Okay, I don't see that. This is why I wanted to check. Both phones for me are not showing anybody on stage.
Yep. And now Erica's up as well.
Okay, so we've got both.
Lee, come off mute if you can. Just say hi. You won. She's cycling off, but Eric, you won as well. GM, how you doing?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Glad to get you up here.
Yeah.
Sims. So Lee is re-requesting here. Let's try her one more time. Maybe.
Okay, she's there though. She's requesting. She's there. So Lee will get the first spin. Eric will get the second one.
All right. Lee, you won as well. GM, can you hear us?
GM.
All right, we're there. 2 winners are on. Lee, you're gonna get the first spin.
Let's do it. Bring on the punk.
All right. And it's a wreck guy. A nice one. The yellow outline there. So, Lee, congratulations. You've won a wreck guy here this morning. Thank you for tuning in.
Now for Eric.
All right, Eric, you're up. What do we got?
Oh, another wreck guy.
Another wreck guy. 2 wreck guy wins here this morning. Nice $1,000 price.
Yeah, if that one might have hit twice. If that's hit twice, that'll be the cash.
All right. So Eric may have gotten the bucket of cash. So, folks, we'll get this all sorted out with you after the show. Eric Lay, congratulations on hitting the wins here this morning. Folks, that is going to be our show. Thank you for tuning in. Want to thank our listeners, thank our partners, thank my co-hosts. Everyone, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Till then, go make it a great day. Goodbye.